boys and girls. It is so good to see you today. How are you doing? What kind of a day is it where you are today? Is it a sunny day? Is it a cloudy day? Or is it a rainy day? Well, here at my house, it is definitely a rainy day. But we are going to have some fun together. This is the time of year where we at Path Preschool talk about worms. Do you like worms? I think they're kind of cool and kind of gooey. But we are going to spend some time talking about worms today, and we have some fun things planned. First of all, I am going to read you a book about worms called Yucky Worms. But what we're gonna learn is that worms really aren't yucky. They really do so many cool things. So we're gonna learn a bit about worms, and then I'm gonna show you something really fun that my husband and I saw on our walk just this morning. And then finally, we are gonna get to meet someone special, my dad. That's right, I have a dad too. And my dad, I sometimes call him Worm Farmer Bob, because he tends our compost bin at our house. And our compost bin is the home to a whole lot of worms. So I asked my dad, Worm Farmer Bob, if he would take us on a tour of his compost bins so that we could see his worms. How does that all sound? It's going to be pretty fun. All right, well, let's get started. Yucky Worms by Vivian French and illustrated by Jessica Alberg. That means that Jessica is the illustrator. She's the one who drew the pictures. One day, when I was in Grandma's garden, Grandma dug up a slimy, slithery, wiggly worm. Yuck, I said, throw it away. Throw it away? Grandma looked horrified. Would you throw away one of your friends? You can't be friends with a worm, I said. You can't even tell which end is which. Oh, yes, you can. Watch. Grandma put the worm down. It gave a kind of squirmy wiggle and disappeared really fast, pointy end first. As the rounded end vanished, Grandma said, "There goes its tail." I bent down to look, and I could see it had left a little tunnel. Where did it go? I asked. Home, Grandma said. It's an earthworm. It lives underground. But what does it eat? Dirt? I wanted to know. It eats tiny, tiny stones and bits of dirt, Grandma told me. But worms eat other things too, like rotting leaves and flowers and fruit and dead insects. They especially like eating at night when it's cool. The stones and dirt help to grind everything up in the worm's stomach, and then the worm poops it back out. Did you know that worms poop? Grandma pointed at the flower bed. Look, can you see? I bent down and I saw what looked like a weird, long, curly worm made of dirt. That's worm poop, Grandma said. It's called a cast. You know when you recycle things? Well, worms do it too. There's still a lot of goodness left in the things a worm eats, and when the goodness comes out again as poop, it helps plants to grow big and strong. And as the worms move around, under and on top of the soil, the poop gets spread around through the garden. That's why worms are my friends. Grandma gives me a thumbs up. And it's not just their poop that's good for plants. The tunnels they dig loosen the soil so roots can stretch out and air and rainwater can get in. But it's dangerous being a worm, Grandma said. I stared at her. Dangerous? I asked. She smiled at me. Lots and lots of animals think worms make the most delicious dinner. Here's one of them. Birds love them, and so do moles, badgers, frogs, hedgehogs, and foxes. Even some slugs eat worms. And human beings accidentally slice through them with spades and spike them with forks. It's a tough life. Cutting them in half doesn't hurt them, Grandma, I said. They just turn into 2 worms and keep on growing. Grandma shook her head. Poor worms. Lots of people think that, but it's not true. She put her fork down. Time for a snack. Grandma had tea and I had orange juice. Can I dig up a worm? I asked. If it rains, Grandma said, the worms will come up on their own. I took a cookie. What if it doesn't rain? Grandma winked at me. We'll use the watering can and pretend. I finished my cookie as fast as I could. Can we trick the worms now? Grandma filled the watering can and I watered the ground. Then I stood back. I didn't want worms chewing at my shoes. They only put their heads out, Grandma promised, and it'll be a while before they do. Grandma was right. I had time to eat 2 more cookies before she said, Look! Wow, I said. I could just see the tip of a worm above the ground. Now watch this. Grandma stamped her foot and the worm disappeared. Did it see you? I asked. Grandma shook her head. Worms don't have eyes. They feel vibrations, though, and a thump like that might mean a hungry bird is landing. Danger! Grandma dug her fork in the ground. Up came lots of dirt and wriggly worms. She picked one up and washed it in the watering can. Mustn't drop it, she said. They can't swim. Grandma put the clean worm on some paper and held it near my ear. I could hear a tiny rustling noise. What's that? They're covered in little bristles, Grandma said. The bristles and their muscles help them move. Boys and girls, did you know that? The little worms have these tiny little bristles all over them? I had no idea. I've got muscles too. I bent my arm so Grandma could see. If you've got so many muscles, she said, maybe you'd like to help me plant my sunflower seedlings? Okay, I agreed. And then I thought of something. When I go to school on Monday, I'm going to say that I've got lots of new friends. Good idea, Grandma said. But, I said, I might not actually say they're worms. The end. Here's a few other interesting things that this book teaches about worms. So it says, this is my mouth where the food goes in, and this is my bum where the poop comes out. But let's see what's in between. Did you know that a worm has a brain and an esophagus where the food goes after it comes in through the mouth? We have that too. This says that worms have 5 pairs of hearts. That means that a worm has 10 hearts. Can you believe that? And then the food comes in here and it gets ground down in here. Comes through here. And then these are the worm's intestines where all of the goodness from the food is absorbed into the worm's body. And then poop. So that's what it looks like inside a worm.
We found this worm on the road, and it's making its way across a road, and a car just missed it, thankfully.
But look at how big it is, boys and girls.
Hold the Summer's hand. That is a massive worm.
That is a massive worm.
I'm gonna give it a little bit of encouragement. Let's see what happens when I give it a little push at the end. Ready? Just go, little wormy.
You want to help it across the road?
It's moving pretty good now.
Okay.
Well, I can lift it up. Can we lift it up and put it in some dirt?
Yeah.
Okay. Ready?
I
Hello, Mr. Worm. There. Oh, that's how. Look how curled up he is. Woo! He's a wiggly one. Hey, come here. There he is. All right, let's go find dirt spot. How about this spot right here? Can you see him?
I think he'll be happy there. Oh, he's going back to the road.
Well, he's finding the dirt.
Okay.
That's a big worm.
I think we'll be able to see him start digging into the dirt.
Maybe he's sniffing around. Do they sniff? I gotta get my coffee.
I think he fell asleep.
Yeah, well, that was an exhausting walk. Or an exhausting wriggle.
Well, all right. See you later, worm. Hi, Dad.
Hi.
So the preschoolers are starting a unit on worms this
Oh,
month.
I have a bunch of worms.
And so I thought maybe you could tell us how you got started tending the worms at our house.
Well, it all started about 5-6 years ago when my daughter wanted to put in a garden out on the side of the house.
Now, what do worms have to do with compost and gardens?
Well, they turn things like banana peels and the sides of carrots and all the different stuff that, you know, we don't eat at the dinner table. When your mom and dad are putting together dinner, they take some pieces and we put it over into the composting bin. I'll show you that a little bit.
We would love to see that. Let's head out to the garden and you can show us your compost bins and the worms.
Well, the first thing is when it's cold outside, we have to go put on our coat and get our bucket.
All right, well, let's get ready.
Now we have two big bins. This one has been composting for quite a while, and this is the one that we're using right now. So we're going to open it up. And you can see the type of things that are in there. And I'm going to throw in some more stuff.
Ew.
And then we close it up. And I'm going to show you a bunch of worms in a minute. And we rotate it. And we rotate it every day. Now, look at all those worms. See all those worms over there?
Yeah. Little ones and big ones.
Yeah. But those worms is what eats all of that stuff and makes it into good soil.
So happy worms equals happy dirt.
There you go.
And then this is where all of that happy dirt goes. And in the summertime, this is a happy garden.
Okay.
Thanks, Dad.